Hi, and welcome to Hanging with Becky. I'm Becky Deanna, and every week I hang out with one of my amazing friends to talk about the latest movie release. Then comes the really fun part. I create a custom Becky challenge to test just how well they know something they're passionate about. I've spent more than 25 years as a movie studio marketing executive and a lifetime as a film fanatic. This show is all about celebrating the movies playing in theaters and introducing you to some of the incredible people I'm lucky enough to call my friends, one conversation at a time. Hi, and welcome to Hanging with Becky. I'm Becky Deanna. This week, I'm hanging out with my friend and producer, Kyle Reardon, to talk about one of the year's most anticipated movies, Spider-Man Brand New Day. Kyle and I have been making Hanging with Becky together since day one. And before that, we spent years talking about movies, filmmaking, and everything in between. So it only felt right to have him back to dive into Peter Parker's latest adventure, what this new chapter means for Spider-Man, and where the Marvel Cinematic Universe goes from here. Then Kyle will tackle MCU trivia in the Becky Challenge, Avengers Assemble. Let's swing in to Spider-Man Brand New Day. Hi, Kyle. Welcome back to Hanging with Becky.
Hey, Becky. Thank you for having me again.
Of course, I had to have you back for Brand New Day because we've talked some superhero films. We did start it with Supergirl and we did do a horror film, but I had to have you back for Brand New Day. This movie is special to me in particular because this is, I think this is the ninth Spider-Man film I've worked on. I also worked on Beyond the Spider-Verse, which isn't out yet. I worked on part of it before I left Sony, and so that would be my 10th. But the Spider-Man films mean a lot to me because I worked on so many of them. And it's interesting that the X-Men films mean a lot to me because I worked on the first 3 X-Men films, which will be a through line later when we talk about this movie. But it's exciting to get into Brand New Day, Spider-Man Brand New Day. I just used to just calling it Brand New Day. We decided, Kyle and I talked about it, this movie is there's so much layers to it. I can't wait to get into it. We'll talk for a few minutes about just overall thoughts, and then we're going to get into we're just going to get into spoilers because I think, like Disclosure Day, there are so many things about this movie that we want to talk about, how it made us feel, if how it impacted us, why we loved it, what didn't work, whatever. And I don't think we can do that without getting into spoilers. So I guess we'll just get right into it. We're going to talk for a few minutes about overall thoughts, and then we'll let you know when we're going to just get into storylines. Kyle, what did you think of Brand New Day?
Well, again, thank you for having me, Becky. And like you said, and like we discussed earlier, it's hard to dance around spoilers with these big event movies because almost, depending on the viewer, anything could be a spoiler. So this one we'll really just be getting into. And I did just want to say, you've worked on all these Spider-Man films throughout the years and the original X-Men movies. These are the movies I grew up with, especially the first 2 X-Men and the first 3 Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films. I'll never forget being opening day for X2 and for Tobey's first Spider-Man and how much of a impact those 2 movies, in particular the first Raimi Spider-Man, had on me. It was the first time I really felt the power of what a movie can do when you go to the movies. It was one of those really formative early movie-going experiences. And then when the second one came out, I still think that's the standard of how you make a Spider-Man film, and not only a Spider-Man film, but how you make a great comic book superhero popcorn movie. It's just as entertaining as it comes, and the emotional depth is there as well. Then I actually, when the Andrew Garfield films came out, I, out of protest, didn't see the first one because I was like, that's not Tobey. I wanted Tobey back so bad for 4. They talked about 4. I saw the interviews and we were waiting, and then they never did it. And I saw it on home video. It was actually one of the first 3D movies I ever got on home video, and it blew me away after that. And then the second one, I know there isn't a huge fan base for it, but I loved that movie. I saw it 3 times in the theater. It really impacted me. It was there's so many moments of Spider-Man in it that are fantastic, and I think that'll be a through line for what I feel about Brand New Day as well. That it really nails the character, but maybe the overall package didn't nail the landing. And then they rebooted with the Holland Spider-Mans, and honestly, when I saw Civil War, it really excited me to what Spider-Man could be in the greater MCU. And then Homecoming really showed me that they could do something with Tom Holland as Spider-Man. And I loved how contained that movie was. And it was really just about a guy robbing stuff and Spider-Man's got to go stop him. And then you have this great emotional connection with Michael Keaton and Tom Holland. And I'll never forget being in the theater and how surprised I was. And I usually by the MCU movies was never like surprised in that manner, but that one really caught me off guard. So after that, I really loved Far From Home. No Way Home was spectacular, and the ending of what that film was really promised something that I've been waiting for a long time, which was a grounded Spider-Man, a Spider-Man that didn't have the luxury of Tony Stark's tech and was back to fighting the regular street criminals and not these end of the world situations. So when Brand New Day was announced and we saw the trailers, I was extremely excited because that promise looked like it was being delivered. And I can say they do a lot of great things with Brand New Day on that regard. And anything that really has to do with Peter Parker's struggle as Spider-Man and coming into his adulthood, I think is handled with grace. There's a lot more to the film, and I think some of those elements that aren't inherently Spider-Man cause some issues. But overall, as a package for a entertaining Spider-Man movie, I think it's really good, and I think people will enjoy seeing the Punisher and the new Black Widow and seeing Bruce Banner and where he's been. I think there's a lot to create with the world they have, and I think it's interesting how Spider-Man fits into that. But I also think there is a lot to be desired with how they fit Spider-Man into those elements as well. So I think Brand New Day is a pretty good movie, not a great one, and I have some issues with it. But overall, I would recommend it to a Spider-Man fan. And for someone that's wanted to see a more street level Spider-Man, this is the movie you want to see. It's closer to what Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 1 are than maybe what the Homecoming Far From Home Spider-Man is. So I guess that I would say. I would definitely recommend still for a Spider-Man fan. It's just there's things that I have some problems with.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice and candid about those thoughts are great. I loved this movie. I think if it's a struggle because I think No Way Home is my favorite of the Tom Holland films because I worked on the Amazing Spider-Man films. They meant a lot to me. Andrew Garfield was like one of my favorite Spider-Man. I love I love to see all three Spider-Mans together, how much fun they had. And then that scene in the last Spider-Man movie, No Way Home, where Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man catches MJ I literally burst into tears. I was at the premiere. It was when the first time I saw it the world premiere, and I was at my seat and I burst into tears, and it was carried so much resonance because of the Andrew Garfield films, and I just think he's an extraordinary actor. I loved that movie. That movie felt a little overstuffed and was a little long, but I forgave all that because I loved when they were together, and I thought I kind of thought it was just, I think I 5-starred that film because I loved it so much and because it had so much emotion. This film is my second favorite of the Tom Holland films. I think it's possible that if I didn't have a lot of that nostalgia for Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker, that it's possible this could be my favorite. I feel this movie could easily be a self-contained Spider-Man movie. I feel like this is a movie that if this is your first Spider-Man movie and you've never seen one, I think you could totally enjoy it and love it. And understand all the stuff and understand that the premise of this film is that Peter Parker, in the last film, he had all of the memories got wiped in order to save the world of his friends. And everyone in the world, nobody knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So in this film, he is wrestling with the fact that he's alone and the isolation of that, the fact that he doesn't have the Avengers. He doesn't have anybody. He doesn't have his friends. He doesn't have the love of his life. And it's really profound, I think. And I think even all the different characters in it, I think their relationship with them, I think even if you didn't see him fall in love with MJ in the last few films, I think that just knowing you could see the resonance of it in those scenes throughout the movie. I just thought it was so wonderful. There are so many layers of this film that I think could connect with so many different people. And I'll talk about specific scenes when we get into spoilers and why. This film had me crying 3 separate times, like tears spilling down my face. Really impactful, wonderful. I loved all the quiet moments. I felt like it was very story driven and focused. It was very intimate. And that is like, honestly, that's the type of movies that I'm more drawn to. So I think that might be why because if No Way Home had such a certain place in my heart, I think this film could have been my favorite film. And maybe at some point it will be. I just thought they really nailed, it was very authentic to the character. One of the things I really, really loved is even though Peter Parker is grappling and has had isolated and is alone, and there's a sadness there, unlike Supergirl, which we covered, he is throwing himself into his work and he is still your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So the first, 20 minutes of this movie or 15 minutes, he's throwing himself in his work. He is authentically Spider-Man. He is fun. And when you see like when he saves a kid, he's like, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, you're okay." It's just, Tom Holland is so wonderful as Spider-Man. And I just think there's still fun and adventure there, even though he's dealing with all this angst. It's still fun. And I think that's the difference between Supergirl, where like in the storyline they took with Supergirl was that she had all this angst, but it wasn't fun. It was plotting and it didn't feel earned. There's so much, it's written, it's done so well that you see the angst when he's home alone, but when he's out doing his job, it's Spider-Man, and it's wonderful. And I think that's such a great contrast to like what you can do with a story where you have this emotional resonance and the fact that you're isolated and alone and dealing with grief and trauma, but you can still be authentic to this character and have the heart and adventure and humor. I thought it was wonderful. I thought Dustin Daniel Cretton, the director, just knocked it out of the park. I think he really took care of this film. So those are my initial thoughts. There are things that I want to get into specifically so we can get into spoilers, just to say why I love this film as much as I did. But it's nice that you didn't as much, so we have a nice balanced conversation. We're not just completely gushing about it or panning it. Are you ready to get into some of the specifics?
I don't know what else more I could say without getting a spoiler out there. So yeah, I think I'm ready.
Yeah, and this film is going to be the biggest Spider-Man movie ever. I think it's going to be the highest grossing film of the year. It's Saturday that we're recording this Saturday morning, so the box office numbers haven't come out. But from what I understand, I'm just looking at the box office. It looks like it is. One second. I just had it up here. I think it is the Sony's biggest opening ever, the biggest Spider-Man opening ever, the biggest July opening ever. And right now that's looking like it's the second film ever to open above 300 million domestically. It is estimated to be at 325 million this weekend. And that places Brand New Day roughly 32 million behind Endgame, but 65 million more than No Way Home. And No Way Home made $1 billion in 10 days. Globally. So
yeah,
I feel
and pandemic, we'll give it a little bit of an asterisk because that was No Way Home, I think we forget to like there is issues with that movie, but that movie was such a needed film for the time it came out. We needed that warm blanket to come back to the movies, and like I don't know, it was I still love the emotion that movie gives me. I just rewatched it a couple nights ago, and it's wonderful. But I think it's impressive how that movie brought people to the theater, and there was such a nice mystery. And I think this movie has that mystery too of like what is really going on within the framework of it. But yeah. It's impressive how much staying power Spider-Man has. He's gonna just keep bringing in the
I
money no matter
agree.
what.
He's just so wonderful and he's so relatable. And there are so many things they do in this film that make him even relatable to so many different types of people. Like this is a film I think that like I could take. My dad doesn't see all the Spider-Man movies. He sees a few of them here and there. But I think even my mom, I don't think our mom see like any of the Spider-Man movies. I think that this is a movie that she could watch and understand what's going on and like love it. And I think my dad would really love it too. It works on so many levels, and I do feel like it could be a self-contained Spider-Man film that you don't have to come in with all the history to really have it have an impact on you. I really, really love this film, and yeah. So I guess like I don't know if you want to get into Kyle some of your
I was thinking,
thoughts.
let's positives. Like, what did we
Yeah.
love? And then we can kind of, I got my nitpicks after, but I really want to go into what I love because I think there is a lot to love, and I think that's what we
That's
are trying to
why
do with the show.
that's why Kyle's super producer. He's a producer on this show and he's like, "Wait, let's just talk about positive." First of all, I don't know how much I don't have any negative. So I think I'm probably going to be all positive here. But
Sure.
I really have real details about why I thought it was positive. So I think that's great. Yeah, let's get
Yeah.
into the positives.
Um, One of my favorite things of the movie is definitely how they include non-plot MCU characters. So I'm talking about like the Punisher and like Black Widow and all those things. And I think they are all included in such a wonderful way where it's like I don't know, it makes the world feel lived in. It makes me feel like the last couple things I've watched from the MCU like were worth it. And then to also see John Barenthal and Tom Holland just having a ball, I just had a blast with. And I
They
think
had
their
great
banter's great.
chemistry.
They're
Yeah.
fantastic. And I didn't realize, and this is probably the talking point everyone's using, but I didn't know they were like acting friends in real life and like they auditioned together and all that. So you can see that chemistry come completely through, which was fantastic. Another thing, Spider-Man being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man again. Actually being the street level Spider-Man and seeing him, take out Tombstone and take out, he's going against Scorpion for almost 2 acts of this, which I love, and I love the casting of Scorpion too. I'm blanking on
I
the
think it's
actor's
Michael
name.
Mando. Is
Yeah,
that
Michael
right?
Mando. I know him from Better Call Saul. He
He's
played
so
Nacho.
great. And he's
He's
like the
so
heart and
amazing.
soul of Better Call Saul. I remember when I
Yeah.
watched Better Call Saul, he's so magnetic. The way his eyes, and his acting. I remember when I watched Better Call Saul, I'm like, can he be in everything? He should be the next like movie
Yes.
star. He's so immensely talented. I love that he even had a small part in this movie, but I really feel like he should be in everything. He's so talented.
Well, Saul came out. Homecoming came out before. He's in Homecoming as Max Gargan, and I never put that together. So when I realized, I'm like, oh, he'll be Scorpion eventually. I was so excited, and he's a great casting. He's a great actor, and I guess I would love more from like a character like that, but I know there isn't really much more they could do. And within the plot of the story they're telling, I think he fits well. All those little things I really love. And I think this is the best human Spider-Man story since Spider-Man 2. I really think about the struggle of becoming a man and becoming a man of his own, not just the man in the shadow of Uncle Ben or Peter or Tony Stark. It's like he's trying to become his own person at this point, and I love that idea of like him finding his place in the world and in New York City. And then I would say the action set pieces, I really love a lot of what they do, and I love how smaller and contained the set pieces are, but they're really focused. Honestly, the intro really remind me of Amazing Spider-Man 2. I got like a lot of the similar vibes of like I loved Amazing Spider-Man 2's intro. Not the plane stuff as much, but when we are diving into the city with Spider-Man, it felt like you're just ripping into a random, issue of Amazing Spider-Man. And I felt that feeling with this film as well as like we're just getting swooped right back into the story. Everyone knows who Spider-Man is, the bare bones basics. We don't really need to go through all that. It's like let's just get into it and let's just see Spider-Man do his thing. And I really do appreciate how they integrate those comic book aspects of the story, and the action felt pretty good overall. Especially the hand-to-hand combat, I enjoyed for the most part. Those would definitely be my big pluses. And I didn't mention I'm wearing the Hulk shirt right now, but finally, the Hulk got some shine and love. And we actually saw the real Hulk for the first time since Ragnarok, which I am extremely excited about. And excited about what that could mean moving forward as well. But I loved his action scene with Spider-Man. And I thought it was a lot of fun and cool to see the Hulk actually be able to do his thing again.
Yeah, I love that part where he says, and I think it's in the trailer too, where, oh, I didn't know you could get this big.
Yep.
And then when the Hulk has his hand around Peter Parker, it's like he could crush it like a walnut. It's so small.
Yes.
His head is so small in his hand. And you're like, oh no, don't hurt Peter. But yeah, the Hulk is great. I think the Punishers. I know that I haven't really followed John Bernthal's character in the show, and I heard he's very like dark and vicious. But
Yeah,
I
it's
think he
wild
really,
to see him in this. Like in the
yeah,
juxtaposition of what that tone of that show is. I've only watched season one. I love that first season of Punisher though. It's really well done.
yeah. I
But
feel
it's
like
crazy to see it.
Yeah, I feel like it works though. From what I'm hearing from people that watch the show, that like they're okay with it. It seems it's a nice like arc because they are so different. So it
Yeah.
kind of creates this. I don't know. It's just this fun dynamic between people who are completely different, and they respect for each other. And there's a nice play there with MJ playing with them as well. What I think is funny is so when we started marketing this movie at Sony, I remember when the first trailer came out, there was like criticism of like, this movie's going to be so overstuffed. There's so many villains. There's like a million villains in this movie. And, us working at Sony, we knew that I'm like, well, all those villains are going to be in a montage in the beginning of the movie, and that's it. So I knew that criticism was unfounded because we knew like the hand and all these villains that they were going to show was going to be this like small little montage. Which it was funny, you had talked to me and you were like, hey, I don't think you had said to me you didn't, and I didn't want to give you anything that was into the story, but you seemed to be like, you weren't sure if you knew which characters it was going to focus on.
So
and
what
all
threw me
that.
off was Keith David in the trailer.
Yeah.
To me, that was a great misdirection because I thought he was going to mean something, and his voice kind of reminded me of what the Chameleon is. And for like the little hints at like kind of mind control or like people, like I don't know. There was like a couple of things of like either it's like someone doesn't seem who they are or they're being controlled by some way. So I was like, maybe Chameleon was in the fray. I just didn't think, and I guess we haven't said it out loud, I just didn't expect Jean Grey to be as integral to the plot as she ended up being.
Yeah, because she's not, Peter Parker and her, I don't believe in the comics have they don't have like a storyline in the comics.
Besides when Peter has ever interacted with the X-Men.
Yeah,
that's not the case.
It's not like they're
so.
pulling this from a direct issue where they have this happen. So I think it was a misdirect. Shout out to Sony's marketing. I did movie marketing for 19 years at Sony Pictures. I love everybody there. They worked so hard on this movie. I think we did a really good job of marketing it. I love that it was hard because there were so many things we couldn't put in the marketing materials. And it was hard because even when we're trying to get partnerships with the movie, a lot of people sometimes want like, what's different about this movie? You have to set up what's different, but you can't show Jean Grey and like they want a new character. So I think that's what we focused on was the arc that we did have was in the trailer. Like once it's in the trailer, you can use it for creative. And so we could use the hand and we could use that creative, but I think it was a nice misdirect where it had those bright colors. But I think we did a very good job of not spoiling this movie. And hopefully if you're listening to this, you've seen the movie because we said that we were doing spoilers now, but we didn't want to spoil it. So we did the best we could do, but it was funny watching, there was like somebody had screen grabbed that scene in the trailer where Peter Parker is fighting the hand and it's all like slow motion in the sky. And someone did a big circle of like underneath Peter Parker to be like, clearly they like CGI'd out another key character that's helping him fight this. Who is this character? And it's like, there's nobody there. That's not that. It's just him. And that's like a scene in the montage in the beginning of the film. Again, this is not a key thing, but it was fun to see the conjecture knowing. And I remember at one point we were looking at stills from the film because we were working on recreating like Spider-Man's room and doing all these things for the marketing of it. And like there's that scene with Jean Grey in the hood with their arms up, but some people didn't think it was her, or it never occurred to them. But when you watch this, you look through the stills of the movie, it was clearly Jean Grey. And it was so cool. It's like, again, Sony marketing, we have to work on these movies that are very, very secretive, and we keep it all under wraps. We do the best we can do. We don't want to ruin it for everybody. We don't want to ruin it for ourselves. We'd often sometimes don't even get all the plot details as well, but it's really exciting to work on a movie where you know all that stuff and you're like, oh, we have to be very careful to make this the best it could be. And then they keep us from seeing the movie until very close to release too. They don't want to give us the movie months before, but you have to know enough with Spider-Man movies to be able to work on them. In the past, we used to be able to read the scripts. They got exponentially harder as we went along. And if you want to know what it's like to read a Spider-Man script, I actually talk about it in the episode that we just dropped last week. The special presentation, the Terminator Salvation, my behind the scenes look at working on Terminator Salvation. I talk about how secretive the Terminator Salvation script is. And Adam Rakoff, who's on the episode with me, asked me what it's like to read a Spider-Man script. And I talk about how as we went through the Spider-Man scripts, they get exponentially more harder to read. Like they give you pieces and things like that. So it's a fun episode. I definitely would love for you guys to check that out, of what it's like to work and market a movie. And I talk about Skyfall and Spider-Man, and then what it was like to work on Terminator Salvation. But I don't want to repeat some of the stuff I said on that episode on here. But yeah, it is funny marketing it. And I was talking to you and seeing all the conjecture online of like who it was. And I thought they did a really good job with Jean Grey. I want to go back in more of a linear order of like certain things that I loved that they do. So one is Peter Parker in this movie. He is dealing with the fact that I love this, is that he is alone and he doesn't have anybody. He's throwing himself into his job, but it's causing a lot of stress for him. And he's changing because of it. And I love this because it's so relatable. And I don't think there are a lot of people maybe listening to this that are young that may have never experienced this before, but as an adult has had some years on her. And I've met several people. I've talked to several friends recently throughout our careers that have experienced this. It's a real thing. And I love that this film sort of takes place there are moments in your life, and sometimes it happens when you're older, where you have stress, and the stress that you have that you're internalizing, you might not know how deep it is, but it comes out in ways that you don't expect physically. So, for example, several years ago, like a decade ago, I was my boss was on paternity leave, so I had to take over his job for a month. And my job. And I had a month or 6 weeks where I was just drowning, and I was going to all these meetings and everything. And I noticed at one point that my face was tingly sometimes, and I didn't know why. And it was weird. And I almost went to the doctor to check it out. I didn't know why. And then later, when my boss came back, it immediately went away. Another example is I have a friend who had a boss that was really, really overbearing, and it was really miserable. And as she worked at another studio, and she started to break out in hives at one point, and she didn't know why. I talked to a friend of mine recently who had a really, really was at a major company, entertainment company, and he's I think 60. There was a period where several months he started to like have issues with his legs. And at one point he woke up in the middle of the night and he couldn't walk, and he crawled down the hallway, and he was like, something's wrong with me. And he didn't want to tell his husband, and he didn't know what was going on. He went to the doctor. The doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong. When he left his job, he got laid off a few months later. It all evaporated, went away. And there are moments, because what I loved about this movie is a small little thing, is that stress can come out in physical ways. And I love that this movie, again, for somebody who might not have ever experienced it, may never think of it this way, but somebody like me who has experienced it, friends of me that has, stress can physically alter you and come out in ways where it can affect things that like there's no explanation for it. So I love this small thing of like, he's changing, his eyes are getting darker. He's like having a sensory overload, all these things, which are really, really amazing. And at one point, MJ says to him, because he creates this inhibitor to try to keep it under wraps. And she gets to look at what he's doing. And she says to him, this quiet moment of just like, well, this is something you would do to inhibit, like to, keep under lock and key like a monster, like from a monster from coming out. And for what I know about you is that you're just like a really good guy who's changing. And so it's fascinating. It's just small little things like that that I just thought was really relatable as somebody who has had so much stress that it comes out physically. Another series of that part is there's a part where he has a total sensory overload, Peter Parker, because of all these changes. And he is on top of a roof and it's so loud. Everything is coming to him. It's just overwhelmingly noisy and he's boxing his ears and he's feeling all the sensory overload. And that to me, my daughter's on the spectrum. And I think that anybody who's on the spectrum or has autism maybe has known what that's like of, I didn't know about it until I knew somebody with autism, but like there are moments where you don't even realize it, but when sounds get so loud, it's unbearable. You have to go somewhere else. And so I know that's not what he was experiencing, but it's very similar to what somebody on the spectrum can experience, a sensory overload of sounds of just like, it's like you have to get away. It's overwhelming. And I thought that was really relatable to somebody who maybe experienced that sensory overload in the past. I thought they did a really good job of it. And it's small little things like that are not like, oh, he's this, he's that. But I think if you've experienced those things, they're really impactful. And again, speaks to how films are subjective, where if you've experienced these things, if you know about it, you relate to Peter Parker. Like, God, I've been there. I've been through the heartbreak of this. I've been through this. I've been through being lonely. So there's just all these layers to this film and there's so much more I want to say. So I'm going to, ping pong it back to you to talk for a little bit, but these are two things in particular that were small little things that I thought were really wonderful, that weren't huge storylines, but like really, I thought were beautifully done in this film.
Yeah, and I think those are some of the strongest aspects of this film is really bringing that humanity to Peter and to not only bring the humanity to Peter, I feel like that's done well in almost every iteration of Spider-Man because it's like even with how Andrew Garfield's different and how Tobey Maguire's different, there are these innate core values of Peter Parker that are always shown through. And I think we don't get to see him grow in the movies as much as we do in the cartoons or in the comics, and it's interesting to actually be able to go on the journey with Peter, to see him become a man. And I think there's some of that in Spider-Man 2, but it's also tough with the casting of Tobey Maguire in that film because he is an older person. He is playing younger, but I don't think you get that emotional connection like we do with Tom Holland because we've seen him grow up on screen. And to see him actually become a man in front of our eyes is a very interesting thing that doesn't happen in the movies that often. And I think with the things you're saying, this is why Spider-Man is as relatable as he is, because the character is already written that way, and then we have this actor who is almost going through what the character's going through as well, in front of our eyes. And I think that adds just another element to the character that has never been there before that I think is very effective. And I think that's why you see so many different people connect to the character, different ages, different cultures, everything, because it's like there is the best parts of us in our struggle in Peter Parker, and I think that's why we relate to Peter Parker more than any other hero. I love Batman more than anything else, but there's only so many things you can relate to Batman to. He's a very specific circumstance. Same with Superman and any other hero. At the end of the day, Peter Parker is a normal guy, and I think that was people's issue with the version that we've had with Tom Holland, because it wasn't fully that, because he had the scapegoat of Tony Stark's tech, or Tony Stark to be there for him, or the Avengers to be there for him. And it's like, to see him in this situation, to see him really have to figure it out for himself, is such a innately Spider-Man thing, but also beautiful that at the point of the movies that he's here as well. And I couldn't agree more. And I really do love all those little aspects. And even, I don't know, I love the aspect of, like, we haven't really gone into Ned and MJ's inclusion in this film yet, but I love the aspect of, like, being that older person, socially awkward, and being felt like you're left out, and I think that emotion was hit so well. He has the most extraneous circumstance of why he's left out, but I still think that's an inherently human thing everyone can relate to in one way or another. And it's just another one of those beautiful emotional human seeds that they drop through the movie. So when we do get to the fighting aspect, when Peter is fighting the Hulk or whatever, I care even a little more than I might have, a couple scenes before. And yeah, I think they really nailed that. But I'm curious from your end, like, I love the ending of No Way Home so much. I think, honestly, it's one of the best endings to a superhero movie ever. I watched it a couple days ago. I teared up again because of, like, is the most Spider-Man thing he could have done was to sacrifice his own personal happiness for the greater good and for the betterment of the world. So I'm curious, with Ned and MJ coming back into the fray and the way that it is portrayed, do you enjoy how they were brought back, or do you think it takes away a little bit of the stakes of what No Way Home had? Because I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not sure how I feel exactly with their inclusion back in the film and in the universe.
I had concerns about how they were going to play back them into this film, and I thought it was done really beautifully, and I thought it was powerful. So actually the first time I cried was a small little moment. Wasn't probably the moment that you would expect me to cry for the first time. That was so moving, and it was because of this. Is that they brought them back. So he has to give up his friends, his life, or whatever. So I like seeing the aftermath of that, what that means, and also what's that going to be. And there's a scene. This isn't the scene where I cried, but where Jean Grey in this film, and she's very kind of seen as like a monster for a good part of this movie. She's, especially what she does to Peter Parker in the middle of this film with MJ. She takes over MJ, and so he believes he's reuniting with MJ on the roof. And they have a kiss, and you think that MJ remembers him. And what I love about the scene is this isn't the scene that made me cry, I'll get to that in a second, is that you think, and actually, and the first time I saw it, I saw the movie twice this week. Once with a bunch of critics, so it was really fun because they were all locked in. And the second time was, more general audiences. I saw it in 3D. But the first time, there were some critics that they were so excited that, like, she's like Peter, and they remembered her, but it was too easy. And I love that it wasn't like, and Jean Grey through MJ made a joke about it, or like made fun of him, like, oh yeah, like this is true love's kiss breaks the spell. No, that's not quite how it worked. But that's what other people in the audience wanted. They want MJ to remember him. So they hoped for that. I love that that's not what happened. It was actually more powerful that she doesn't remember Peter, that she says, like, there's a scene later where she says, I'm so sorry. I don't love you. I don't remember you. I know that you love me. I don't feel this way about you anymore. And that's so heartbreaking. I think that could happen too, where, like, maybe in real life, you can fall in love with someone, hold on to stuff, hope it comes back. And the person's moved on and they're never going to see you that way again. She really doesn't remember him at all. But she is saying in this movie to him, I don't remember anything. And I can't, even though you can, manifest or try to make me believe, I don't. But anyway, I thought that was really powerful because of that. I love that it wasn't just like breaking the spell with this kiss. I thought it was really impactful. The part that hit me the first time I cried 3 times in this film, was a small moment where after she tells him, I'm not going to love you, but I need to go home. and he takes her home. And she says, you know what? Can you come up and talk to Ned? I'd love for you. He really worships Spider-Man. Like, so he goes up there, and there's this moment where they're sharing jokes, him and Ned, on the living room floor. And MJ's drawing a picture of them. And it's so wonderful. It's like you can see the friendship that they have. It's genuine, it's earned. And she's drawing a picture of him. And I'm going to cry right now. She shows him the picture, and it's so moving because it's like, I think just in that picture, oh my God, I'm crying on this episode. Just that picture is so beautiful. Of like, you captured in this drawing their friendship. It's so special and beautiful. And I cried, and I'm crying right now, but it was really such a small little moment. And it's funny because earlier in this in the movie, like 5 minutes earlier, she is telling him, I don't love you. And then he's carrying her. And I think a lot of people were moved to tears in that scene where he's carrying her, and he's knowing that he's not going to be with her. And that, I think, was really sad for a lot of people. That part didn't make me cry. What made me cry was the part where the picture of like seeing the lost friendship and like the regaining of that friendship, and that was earned. I felt, and then that was such a beautiful way, because it's like, yes, they took that away at the end. How are they going to bring them back? But what a beautiful way to bring it back, of just like a conversation, share jokes. You feel authentic. It was so authentic. That picture said a lot. I just thought it was wonderful.
No, that is one of the better. I think that's the best scene with all three of them together, like that little connection of scenes. And that's a callback too. Because Zendaya in the earlier films is always drawing people in distress. She loves seeing people in their real state. That's the whole thing. So
I forgot about that.
So it's a callback as well to her character in the earlier films, which I think is great. This is where my biggest conflict with this movie is this scene as well, I think. Because to me, what Jean Grey does makes her a full villain. And it doesn't make her an anti-hero, and doesn't make her someone that is maybe conflicted because of emotional distress. It made me feel like she's evil. And I think I think that's where, like, my biggest issue with this film, and I get people are going to say, well, she's a younger version of her character, and she needs to learn from Charles Xavier what it means to be a mutant and all this, but I see her kill people, and I see her intentionally try to murder Mary Jones Watson in this film, and that's where I start having a trouble with this device of a character that they're trying to use Jean Grey with. And I think this is where my biggest struggle with what I enjoy about the film is, because I love everything that's Spider-Man centric and really street level Spider-Man. And then I feel like this Jean Grey story really starts elevating the film to a different thing. And it starts feeling like a movie that is trying to set something greater up, which we know that is the case as well with including an X-Men like this. I think if the movie was focused and it was just like, hey, we're going to do an X-Men Spider-Man movie, I think I would appreciate the Jean Grey aspect. If this movie was like, we're just doing the street level Spider-Man movie, which it does for most of it does it for most of the film, I think that's where I love a lot of it overall. And I think that's where it's most successful, is when it's doing all these street level Spider-Man things. It's just tough to see both of these elements together, because I don't think they fully work. And I think for what they want Jean Grey to be in the greater scheme of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think it's going to be a very hard thing for at least people like me and the bigger fans to look at Jean Grey as not a complete villain after this movie. And I know she's been Dark Phoenix, I know all that, but that comes with years of her being an X-Men and a hero, and that is a huge conflict. This is her inherently doing these things, and I don't know if you felt like a conflict from anything with Jean Grey in that regard, or her characterization, especially someone that knows the earlier X-Men films as well. But I guess that's where my biggest kind of quandary with the movie is, because I do love Sadie Sink as this character, and I really do love aspects of what they're doing with it. I just, to make her the full villain, I think is a tough deal, and I think it also goes into some issues I have with the MCU moving forward as well.
So I don't see her. It's funny. So she is the villain of this film, but she has this amazing character arc, and I think it's really, really beautiful. Honestly, the other two times I cried in this movie had to do with Jean Grey, had to do with Sadie Sink's performance. I loved the ending of this movie. I love what they did with her. I love that there was a part, and it worked for me. There is a part in the middle of this film where she is possessing MJ and then breaks his heart. And she doesn't know Peter Parker at this point. I mean, she's read his letter and she makes fun of him and she's really cruel. And it's a very cruel. And you're like, how do you ever get back from this? She's gone too far, right? And then I just loved her at the end. So I love the character arc. It worked for me. And like I said, the other times I cried was at the end, where the first is when Jean Grey is just like, so the backstory on how they position her in this film is that she has this sister in this film that is taken away. That there is not the DOJ, but I can't remember the name of the company.
Damage Control.
Damage Control. They take her her sister away to experiment on her, to try to figure out. They're trying to do it in the power of good, of like what we can use with these powers, but they take away her sister. She's brokenhearted about that, and then becomes like full on, like she wants to find her sister. Her sister has projected with telekinesis, like her last moment, which we find out later is the last moment, which is VMAX, which is her seeing an air conditioning vent. And she finds out later what it is. So she doesn't know what VMAX is. The whole movie, she's trying to like break into computers to try to figure out what VMAX means, not knowing it's the last thing her sister ever saw. It's really impactful. But there's a scene where Jean Grey is captured. Peter Parker captures her. It does an inhibitor on her. She's able to be captured because she's so powerful. And she takes over, she kind of mind controls a huge radius of the city. Even Ned and MJ, you see tears going down MJ because she's frozen in time. It's really impactful. Anyway, Peter Parker's trying to get to her to stop her from this happening. She sends the hand after him, all these things. But she gets into Peter Parker's mind at one point. And this is the second, like I said, time I cried, when she essentially tells Peter, you're going to have to choose who you are. Are you Peter Parker? Are you Spider-Man? And it's like having to just realizing that, like, we're special, but they don't care about us being special. Like, she knows he's a superhero too. And she's going through that, like, they're just using us. And it's so wonderfully, it's so written so well. And then at one point, Peter just snaps and he's like, I am not going to choose. I can be both. And it's really like, just like, I don't know, not the Phoenix rising from the ashes, not to say Dark Phoenix, but like really wonderful, like where he's just like, no, I'm embracing who I am, embracing these heightened senses. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get to you. And so he finally, like, it takes Jean Grey to like question him, to challenge him, but she doesn't like Peter's part. She's just challenging him to be like, you're special, but it doesn't matter. People don't value that. And it's really beautiful when she does that. And so he becomes who he finally like accepts who he is, and he breaks part. And that was really beautiful to me. And the last part was when he gets to her. She finally goes into his mind and he's like, go into my mind. And this was the most wonderful, beautiful part of that movie to me, at the ending of the movie, where she walks into a scene in his room and Aunt May is talking to Peter Parker on his bunk bed, and you see her, Jean Grey, on the bed. So it's like Aunt May's talking to her. And when they talked about earlier in the movie, there's a scene where Jean is sitting with her sister and they're looking at a mom and a daughter, and they're like being wistful about their mom wasn't a good mom, because their mom, as soon as she found out they were different, she abandoned them. So she doesn't have a maternal figure in this movie. That's how they portrayed it. She doesn't have a maternal figure. She doesn't have a mom. She has nobody, just like Peter has nobody, but she now feels what Peter feels, that the love of Aunt May, and Aunt May is talking to Jean Grey on this bunk bed and saying to her, people are going to use you, and that's what's happening to her too. They're not going to value you, that like they're going to think of something different of you, you're special, but I love you for who you are. And Jean, in this moment, that's why I loved his character arc, she needed to hear that from a maternal figure, to be like, so this person loves me for who I am. She's talking to Peter Parker, but it feels like this woman, Aunt May, is talking to her, and it's so beautiful of like what that's like to sit there and finally be told that you're special, but for who you are, and you're worthy of love. So many people in the world want to know that they're worthy of love and don't think they're worthy of it. And having this wonderful person, Aunt May, tell her this, even though she's telling Peter, it's just so overwhelming. It's an overwhelming scene. And Peter sees that she needs this. And also she's in doing this, she's also being with Peter, knowing that Peter is genuinely an ally, that like this is who is in his life, that he is affected by this too. So she's also realizing that Peter Parker is somebody she can trust. And it's just like a wonderful moment. And when she gets out of it, that's right when John Bernthal is trying to save Peter, shoots her. He realizes how Jean Grey is, just a lost soul like him, and he protects her. And then she's just distraught because Peter's dying over her. So he gives up like his life for her. And so she ends up saving it. But it's just like in this few minutes of this film, there's so much that has like the character arc of like this character finally getting the maternal figure she wants, realizing she's worthy of love, realizing this is an ally, him caring about Jean Grey, finally understanding them, him sacrificing his life for her. It's like this really beautiful friendship that got formed in these few minutes. I think it's one of the best moments ever in a superhero movie. This is one of the reasons why I love movies, is for intimate story elements like this. I loved this ending, and that is the third time I cried. It's so moving. So sorry, I just went off, but it worked really well for me.
No, and I think that's why I'm struggling with this movie, because those moments you stated are amazing in their own right. And I guess it's hard to like describe. So like I do agree, like honestly the reference to Amazing Spider-Man 129 with the Punisher shooting Spider-Man, and like having that emotional moment built around everything is great, and is everything you want from a comic book. I guess I just struggle with like the device of Jean Grey in the film itself, because of what I know they will want to do with her in the greater scheme of everything. Yeah. And I guess that's where I have a question too. And as a fan, we're all going to this as a Spider-Man fan first, I'm assuming. But we also have in the background looming Doomsday. And I know you worked on the film, so it's tougher to ask you this question. But did you...
I didn't work on Doomsday.
What was that?
I didn't work on Doomsday. You mean Spider-Man?
No, I understand.
Okay.
No, I understand that. But I feel like a lot of people are going to go see Spider-Man and assume there's going to be something in correlation to what is going to be coming in December with Doomsday. Yeah. And there's really nothing that connects at all. And I guess as a fan, as a Spider-Man fan, I think this movie works. I think this movie works even with my issues. I think the movie works as a really good to great Spider-Man movie. Yeah. As a full movie, I don't know if it works as well. And then as a piece of this larger puzzle, do you think this succeeds in like what it needs to do to set up the Avengers? Because from Endgame now, we really have no clue where we're at. And I think that's a big issue, especially with this being a tentpole movie right before everything we're supposed to care about. So I guess that's where I'm kind of at too with some of my complaints, because you're going to bring in this new element of Jean Grey, which I love, and I love the X-Men. But at the end of the day, it feels very safe the way they approached it. Not for the individual device in the film. I think if we're just talking about how it works in the movie, it works very well and emotional. But for this, and you make me care about everything else in this universe, it feels like such a safe way to do it, to see how people react more than making a choice to tell a story that you're setting up to continue. And
I don't know. It's real that's a big it's interesting how they're gonna do that because I think Doomsday was supposed to come out before Spider-Man or close
well, it
to
was
Brand New
Kang.
Day.
It was going to be Kang originally,
Okay.
and then with Jonathan Majors and all that, those issues,
Yeah.
they
So
completely pivoted from what they were
yeah,
doing.
I don't know. I don't know because it's interesting because obviously the X-Men characters like Famke Jensen was Jean Grey in the 2000 films. She played this for a long time, and then they had Sophie Turner, who was not a great, I don't think, Jean Grey. But I don't know where they're going to go. Are they reintroducing her? Because the X-Men, I believe, are going to be in Doomsday. I don't know how many of the characters are, and if Sadie Sink will be Jean Grey in that. And also, this is a younger version of Jean Grey. This isn't like Famke Jensen. I'm not if I'm saying her name right, was like a woman. Like she was older and like, this is sort of like an origin of what Jean Grey is, but like, I don't know. I think that is probably going to be a problem in the future films of like, in the end of this film movie, she takes off on a bus. And I don't know if that means that Professor Xavier is going to find her and say,
Oh, I
you
think she's
belong.
going to the X Mansion. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly what that's
Yeah.
supposed
And maybe
to be.
he's using Cerebro to find her and say, you need to find a home for us. And maybe she'll be more open to it now because Professor Xavier is so wonderful and saying that because she has just felt like this. You feel like she finally understands that she could be loved and seen. And Matt May gives her that and that she's worthy and that knows that people will take advantage of her. So I think maybe her next step is to go to Professor X and the Xavier School for Gifted. Yeah, that's probably is where she's going. But I don't know how that's going to play in the future films. I'm really worried about, I'm not like a massive Marvel fan, so I don't know about Doomsday and how I feel like it's going to be kind of a mess, to be honest. I don't know. And I don't know if Jean Grey's going to be part of it. Obviously, Sony works directly with Marvel on these storylines to have everything fit together. I don't know how it'll fit together and if they'll even have Jean Grey in Doomsday. I do not know. But for this film, the Spider-Man films, it's funny because for me, I worked at 20th Century Fox and I worked at Sony Pictures. So the two characters and the mythologies and all that I love are X-Men and Spider-Man. Those are the ones that mean the most to me, and those happen to not be for a long time the Marvel ones, the cinematic and part of the MCU. Now they are all part of it, but those are the ones that care a lot. So I always feel like those films, and then even these Spider-Man films, this is such a well done film. They took such good care of the whole story. And I don't know how they're gonna. There are similar producers and everybody, so there has to be a through line, but I'm not sure how they're gonna do it. I just know, and I know. Sorry, I keep saying his name wrong, but Destin Daniel Cretton, I thought just really nailed the wonderful profound moments, the coming of age of this movie. I didn't even realize it that he. Made Short Turn 12 is a small, intimate film that I loved that movie. One of my friends, Brandon, he just did a Letterboxd review. And he's so funny. He wrote in his review that he said this is the Rocky movie of Spidey movies. And then he said the mysterious character here played by Sadie Sink in his review would fit right in as one of Brie Larson's charges in that film. Of Short Turn 12, which I thought was so great. And I also, he said Bernthal's turn as Frank Castle is fun and will make all the worst comic book fans annoyed. And then, so his review is great. I love Brandon. He actually is going to be a future guest on Hanging with Becky, so you'll get to enjoy him for he knows more about him and James Hancock know more about movies than anyone I've ever met. Their actually birthdays are a day apart, so I think it's something about cancers, I guess. But anyway, I thought that was really wonderful. I thought that was really astute observation. But yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a mess. I don't know how they're going to fit this Jean Grey into the future. Maybe they'll figure it out and do it really wonderful. But as as talking about this movie, like I said, I really feel like it could be a self-contained story. Although there is more emotional impact and resonance if you know the history of MJ and what he's said goodbye to. There's more, but I think even if you hadn't seen that, you would still be impacted by it. But I really thought the storyline of Jean Grey and the character arc, she is. I cared so much about her at the end, even though in the middle I'm like, she is evil. Like, I can't believe that she would do that, to Peter, and other stuff that she's doing. She's doing it out of just like she has nothing to lose. She's just trying to get her sister and at all costs. But to see her get her humanity back, to regain it back through being seen, through being loved, something she never had. She had a little bit with her sister, and then realizing who Peter is. And then at the end, John Burt, the Punisher, is telling him, essentially, Frank Castle, that, hey, you're alive in this hospital because Peter Parker's in the hospital. Jean Grey, with her voodoo stuff, he said, I don't know what she did, but healed you, like helped you live because of this. Like, he made an impact on her. And I also really love when Peter Parker leaves the hospital, because nobody knows that he's Peter Parker still. He walks out, and that really beautiful moment, another one of that, being in a crowd full of people who are outside the hospital in Spider-Man costumes, with Spider-Man signs. Like, he's able to feel the love of the impact that he's made to New York City. And oh wow, they really believe, they love me. And he kind of knows that, but I don't know if he's really let it in. But at this point, through everything he's gone through, he can like receive it, like, oh wow, I am loved. And it's so nice to, like, you think about all those amazing people, like obviously all our gods, all these directors and all these people, or artists or something, that get to have those moments when they get to actually be around and alive to see their films be reevaluated or appreciated, or know that, like, how wonderful it is for Peter Parker to be sitting in this crowd, them not knowing who he is, and feeling the love, the genuine thing that they don't know who he is, and that, oh, I'm worth something, I mean something, was another really really nice moment in this movie. I loved. There's so many small things in this film that I thought they did so well. I really, really, really love this movie.
Yeah, I will say that's my favorite emotional beat of the film, is the end there, because it's the first time I've seen. Maybe they did in Spider-Man 3 with Tobey, like, a little bit, but it's the first time we see Spider-Man be able to appreciate the love that the city gives him. And I feel like that's actually a very integral thing to the comics. Like, Spider-Man has this innate relationship with New York, and I feel like it's shown sometimes, especially in the early first couple Spider-Mans. But that moment was, like, so nice to just see him, like, reap the, rewards of the work he does, and realize that maybe he feels alone, but what he's doing is worth that. And it's a moment to show, like, why Spider-Man will keep going. And it is juxtaposed with my favorite laugh of the movie as well, with John Barenthal with the mask on, just grunting at the window as he's Spider-Man. Like, he's even getting a moment of that too, which is hilarious to me.
Oh, it's so funny. One of my friend Andrew laughed the hardest when Sadie Sink goes into his mind, and she's all, "This guy's got issues."
Yeah, this guy's got issues. Yeah, and again, I guess I really do enjoy this movie, and, like, I have critiques, and I think the critiques are more of the bigger picture than, like, what the individual film is doing. Because everything is supposed to be connected, and I'm a nerd, and I love all this stuff, so I want it all to succeed. And it's like, yes, I appreciate the device of Jean Grey in the individual film, but for the characterization of what it means to mean, I don't know if it fully works, but it does work for the movie itself. And I think that's what's successful. And again, we're supposed to judge movies on their own merit, and that's the deal at the end of the day. It's just, if Kevin Feige wants us to watch all of it, I would hope everything matters. And
I hope there's a through line.
Yeah. And,
at least there is with the Spider-Man films. I feel like.
Yeah, of course. And they're all super interconnected. There, yeah.
Yes.
And I guess that's my big last kind of question on this, more than anything. The handshake at the end. What do you think? What do you think? Does Ned remember at the end? Is it just like a muscle memory recollection. What do you think? Is everything going to be remembered again, or are we moving on?
I
That's
think
like the big
they leave
mystery.
it. I think they leave it open ended on purpose. But I think one of the things they played into was the fact that when he kissed MJ and she said, "Oh, sorry, that's true love kiss is not going to lock it. I don't know if a handshake will." I like the muscle memory. I think that what I like to believe is that maybe Ned doesn't remember everything, but because of somewhere deep inside of him, because he always admired Spider-Man who already before he knew him, but like I think it's a familiarity that he's feeling of like this person's special, this person's my friend. He already had that connection with him in the apartment, so I think it's like a. I think that I love that Spider-Man at the end, like when he's with all these love of his fans, and he takes the steps towards healing, and the fact that he's able to when he runs into Ned at the is it coffee shop or I don't know, just a
Yeah,
bodega
it's just
or
like
was
I think it's like a cafe, but it's
yeah.
nice. Like he avoids him the first time, he has that social anxiety, and then
Yeah.
he's like confident enough to
Yeah,
talk to
because
him.
he's healed. Like this, all the stuff that's happened, he's healed. He's just been surrounded by these fans, and he's ready to take that step of like probably thinking, I got to start from scratch. Like it's nice that MJ knows because she read that letter, even though she doesn't feel it, she knows that there's a history. So that's interesting because it helps play into the fact that maybe in the next film she did love him once. It doesn't, he's the same person. She's the same person. The history is gone, but it doesn't mean you can't fall in love with that person again. I mean, you were in love once. It's not just like certain things cause that. So it's possible that she will fall in love with him again because he is the love of her life. And even though they have to start from scratch, like a new history, maybe she will as he'll continue to hang out with her and she's open to that. I like that she knows the history now. Ned doesn't as much, but I think he had that friendship. He knows that he has they had that shared joke earlier. I also really love the part where I cried earlier in this episode when she draws the picture. It's like she's not just like they're showing that she just went to college with Ned. She's doing videos with him on social media. Ned's her best friend. He's her roommate. And there's no jealousy there when she sees that their friendship. She's not like, oh, what's going on? Like, this is my best friend. And these people she's like, really, it's like a warm thing that she is seeing them together and like not jealous. Like it's so sweet. She knows that that Spider-Man, Peter Parker, is making her best friend happy. And that's what she cares about. And that's so sweet. It's not a jealousy, like, wait, this is my guy. And also I think seeing that will maybe help her fall in love with him again too and remember the history. And maybe it's possible that as they go through, they will, but I feel like it's like he didn't just know, he just says Peter because he did meet Peter before. I don't know if he knows the whole history. I think it's a familiarity thing. That's what I believe. But if they said the handshake is stronger, maybe friendship's stronger than kiss, maybe that's what they're saying. Who knows? But I do believe that it's a next nice chapter of like, if he is now able to has a path into their lives now, since she knows that they had a history, that Ned's like knows that they have a lot in common, that he could start a whole new friendship, a whole new chapter in his life now with these two people. And it's very possible, like I said, MJ loved him once and he's the same person, she could love him again. And I think that's very possible. And I think people will be rooting for that. And I think it'll be really earned in a future film. I think it was so impactful. I think anyone that's had heartbreak, for a variety of reasons and love and can feel the weight. And also it's so wonderful that Zendaya and Tom Holland are married in real life as husband and wife. So it comes off as like they're genuinely in love in real life. It really comes through these characters and all of it. And I think that like no matter what it is, it's unrequited love or true love. There's that quiet moment when they're in the castle's bunker and they have a sheet between them, and he's asking, "Oh, your boyfriend?" And she's like, "Oh, my boyfriend doesn't think that I'm like thinks that I'm withholding or something." And he's like, "Sounds like he's a jerk." It's so cute because she's not really probably with who she's supposed to be with, and he, but he can't tell her, and there's all this like, it's just so wonderful when you're like, these people are meant to be. Why aren't they together? But I think we're going to get that again because they are meant to be. They will find each other. It's really wonderful and hopeful. I can't stop saying enough about this movie. I also really love how he gets flowers for every day for Aunt May. It's really sweet how much she means to him. The small little things they do throughout this film. And we talked about like small things he does too with like the director with the action and the characters, like recreating the comic book characters, scenes from actual comic books, small little things like that.
The covers and all that.
Covers.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. I love how he shoots just the geography of how Spider-Man would walk around somewhere too. Like there's a lot of inverted camera stuff like of him walking on the ceiling, but it's like it looks normal to us, or it's vice versa. And I think it's just a thoughtful way to show how Spider-Man does not walk around like we do at all, and does not interact to the environment the way we do. And to, use the camera to show that as well, I thought was very well done. I have a random question.
Yeah.
And this is one of the last ones I have too. And it's very early in the film, and we cut to her maybe twice. But there's a blonde girl at the beginning of the film that we make more than one like notice to in Peter's apartment. And I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a Gwen Stacy or a Felicia Hardy Black Cat kind of situation. I wasn't sure if you noticed that person at all and what that was supposed to be.
Oh, you mean the one that was like, "Hey, like, we're neighbors," and he's like, "Okay,
yeah,
that's it. That's interesting." She's in two parts because then he steals her laundry at one part.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. It's the juicy on the pants.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. I don't know. She could be Gwen Stacy. Maybe he'll be. But I also I like the mechanic of like, it just shows too, there's this really cute girl that's down the street. That lives on his floor that definitely thinks he's cute. And he is cute, and she's kind of like, "Hey," and he's just like, he's so locked in to who he is. He's so in love with MJ. He's like, "I don't care who you are." He's not seeing her as this cute girl. He's concentrated on being his job as being Spider-Man and his love of MJ. He doesn't see her. But yeah, maybe, maybe it will be Gwen Stacy. I don't know. It could be that they're setting it up to be, I don't know. That's really funny. She kind of look kind of like her, but yeah, I think it
was very specific to focus on her more than one. And maybe she could just be, like you said, a device to show cute girl, down the hall, and he's so still wrapped up in everything he's wrapped up in. I just feel like it was a little more focused than a normal throwaway character, even like in Spider-Man 2 with the girl that has the cake. It's like, it felt a little more focused even than that. So I don't know. That was my last big one, especially on the MJ point that you hit at the end. I just was curious if you had any idea of who that was.
That's so interesting. That's a great point. I really want to call out two specific things on marketing just before we wrap this up, because obviously a lot of my friends worked on this movie and the marketing of it, and I just think they're the best in the business. But two, personally, my friend Sally worked on the Samsung campaign, which is if you guys look it up, there's a great commercial with the special Samsung phone. It's really wonderful. I'm really proud of her, and I think it's a wonderful campaign. I think it took like a month from story conception to actually making the spot, and it was like took her whole life up. She did such an amazing job on it, and I think the spot's extraordinary. One bummer was a little marketing tidbit, which you guys don't know about, which is really funny, is that I've seen the Samsung spot now. I've seen the Spider-Man movie twice. It's before the movie. in partnerships, you don't want your spot to play before the movie because the spot's telling you, and then now go see Spider-Man. It's the spot, but you've already seen Spider-Man. So what you want is the partner should be playing the spot before other movies and in other places. And it's really funny because when I was watching Supergirl, I was next to some guy who was like in his 20s, and they played the Ulta spot for Supergirl. And it's a cool spot. And it was like, it was just like getting your rock your look or whatever it was. And a guy next to me is like, well, we're already seeing this movie. Why are they playing the spot? And I was like, this guy is so astute. Like what, like that's exactly it. They should not be playing the Supergirl's TV partnership campaign spot before the movie. Like they should be before another movie. So I thought that was really funny as a civilian that he caught that. But anyway, so you may see it before the Spider-Man movie, but it really should be played other places. But the spot's amazing. And then my friend Peter Staines and Max Tyler in the UK worked in directly with my friend Richard in the home office to create an extraordinary TV spot. It's sort of like AAA, but it's AA, a car service. It's a really clever spot. If you look it up in the UK, it's like the roadside service, and it's like they don't really need Spider-Man because they got this roadside service. It's really clever. Those two spots in particular, I think, are really impactful and really well done. So I just want to give a shout out to Peter and Max and Richard and Sally. I just think that they just a lot of my friends did a lot of work on all partnership campaigns, and I worked on a lot of them too before I left Sony. But in particular, those spots I really want to give a call out to and just celebrate everybody at Sony. They did such an amazing job marketing the movie, and I'm so proud of all of you. And I think it's going to be the biggest. Spider-Man: No Way Home was the biggest movie ever in the history of Sony, even beat Skyfall, and it looks like this film will be that for Sony, the biggest. So I love that Spider-Man's the crown jewel in the Sony Pictures crown.
Yeah, I think it's going to be ginormous. And, at the end of the day, I think it's still a really good movie that a lot of people are going to go see. And I think it's a movie everyone can connect to in one way or another. And
yeah.
That's Spider-Man. That's the staying power of Spider-Man at the end.
I forgot to say this though, except for maybe little kids. So because of the fact that this film is very story driven and has those beautiful intimate moments that are quieter, it seems that maybe smaller kids that love Spidey action of the 5-year-olds or whatever, they might become restless. And I had this experience the second time I saw it in 3D. My friend Adam and I went and saw it, and it was crazy because there's a little boy behind me who was like 4 or 5. And, luckily I had already seen the movie. So I had already had the impact of these weighty scenes. But the first scene with Jean Grey, possessing MJ and on that rooftop, the little kid was talking through it, this kid behind me, and he was like, ugh, because it was bored. And he said, isn't there ninjas in this movie? I thought I saw the trailer had ninjas in it. So he was talking and like he wanted the ninjas. He's like, what is this love? Like, I don't care about this stuff. So it was like, oh my God. And he was kind of loud. And then that second scene, the scene in the apartment that I cried at during this podcast, I was like, he started to talk and I was like, nope. So luckily there was enough seats in the Friday morning 3D showing that my friend Adam were, let's go move. So we went and moved somewhere else because I wanted to like have those scenes wash over me again and really be impactful, but they couldn't be because this little kid was talking, which I totally get it, that he was restless. But if you have a restless kid, maybe take him out to, so they doesn't talk during the movie. But anyway, that's what I did with my kid, if that ever happened. But luckily I could move. But I just want to say, it seems like they are these, because somebody like me and just adults in general, those quiet, intimate scenes might not be impactful for little kids that are like, why is this? Have we just, this is not action focused, and those are kind of long and they're wonderful and beautiful, and it seems like Spider-Man fans are really responding to them, but maybe not like the little kids. So this might be a film that's not as big and brash as like some of these other big action. It's not like action packed every second. There are these smaller moments, which I think make the film probably, like I said, it might be my favorite Tom Holland film, but I don't know if anything can ever beat No Way Home for me. So I would say second. What does it rank for you in the Tom Holland films?
Honestly, I think I love Far From Home a lot more than
Oh
other people,
yeah,
and
I
I've
do
actually
too.
seen it like 5 or 6 times
Jake
because it's like,
Gyllenhaal's so great in that
yeah,
movie.
I love how like silly he is because
Yeah.
I remember seeing that movie. I saw it at the Lincoln Center IMAX opening day, and I love that the only Spider-Man movie I ever saw in New York was the one that doesn't take place in New York pretty much for the whole entirety of it. But I remember just the moment he showed up at the beginning of the movie, I'm like, this guy's full of shit. Because I know Mysterio as a fan. So I loved how that movie really leaned into Jake Gyllenhaal just being this full of shit guy. And I also just love, like, them hanging out on vacation. I don't know. It's just such a good hangout movie that has Spider-Man elements in it that I really love. I would say at this time, since it's the only one I've seen once, I would say this is my least favorite of the Tom Hollands. I'd probably go No Way Home, Homecoming, Far From Home, and then this new
Hmm.
one. Just because No Way Home, I still watch it, and like I have so many issues with that as a movie, but as an emotional experience and something that I find entertaining to rewatch, I go back to it again and again. So it succeeds every time, regardless of my issues. And then Homecoming, I think, is really a solid way you do this, like, this big universe movie that is just like a very contained story where it
Hmm.
feels like it's part of everything going on, but really doesn't. You need to know who Iron Man is, and you need to know like some of these elements, but besides that, it's a really fun contained story about a high school kid, and about someone that's learning about who they are and coming into themselves. So I love Homecoming. And then, like I said, Far From Home's a fun different version of that kind of adventure, and I thought that was a nice segue. The real cherry on the top of the MCU, in my opinion, is the great love letter to like saying goodbye to Endgame and that whole era of everything. I really
Yeah.
enjoy that film. And with Brand New Day, I think there's a lot of things I love in the Spider-Man aspect of it, but I think in the totality of the MCU, I think it's my least favorite of the connected ones. But I think in Brand New Day, there's probably some of my favorite Spider-Man elements ever put into a movie, individually. I just don't know if it all works for me in the
Yeah.
full package. But I can't wait to see it again because
Yeah.
honestly, you got me more excited to appreciate the Jean Grey elements on their own, just
Aw.
because I do feel that way about them in their totality. I just don't know how I feel about it in the full scale of everything.
Yeah.
So
I'd
I am
say
excited to see it again.
I saw it twice. I said I saw it second time yesterday in 3D. And actually, if you can't find a seat anywhere to see a movie, the 3D show was pretty empty because I think people are like, ugh, I don't want to see it in 3D. I saw it a huge screen and that was pretty, it wasn't very full in 3D because people are like, but the 3D is wonderful. Like it's not, gimmicky, go out and grab you. It's one of those 3D where I didn't even notice it was in 3D. I had glasses on, but it doesn't, you just for it's just done so well. And also I think 3D kind of helps with depth and emotion too, because the characters are just, really, there is depth to them, physically, but, I think if you can't get into a screening and there's a 3D one, do it because it was worth it. This movie, I cried just as much the second time seeing it. I may have cried even more because I knew it was coming. Let these scenes wash over you. There's so many, like I said, it works on so many different levels of the fact that Peter Parker is, isolated and loneliness and, just like the sadness that he's carrying. It's just beautiful. It's like beautiful ending. It's profound. I think they did such a good character with the action. It's fun. So too, and I said all the different layers of like what it's like to have your body changing physically because of stress and like what it looks like when Tom Holland's gripping his head for headaches. You could tell it really feels like he's having these headaches. Hulk scene is amazing, especially with the Punisher. There's a great sequence that they showed us in Hall H, that's in the movie where the Hulk is in the ground and the Punisher's and he's dragging him with the web. It's a great sequence. I just think this movie is wonderful, and I think that you'll love it the second time and really let these scenes wash over you. And I think this movie is a movie that I would probably see again. I've only seen it twice, but I think it's a movie that I might like take my dad to see now. Yeah, I'm really proud of everyone at Sony, but I'm also just really proud this movie is great. And I know that's what we want. We want great movies. So yeah, I think that's it. And then I think we can probably move. We're doing a MCU specific Becky challenge for Kyle. So we'll see how he does. So I think we can probably pivot, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Go see brand new day. It's still quality, and it's Spider-Man at the end of the day. It's always fun to go see.
Yeah, we love Spider-Man. Yeah. And you know what the world needs right now is Spider-Man.
Yeah, we need some warmth, and we need Spider-Man.
Yes,
for sure.
We do need it. We always need him in our lives. All right, well, we're gonna pivot to the Becky challenge right after this. All right, we're back for the Becky challenge. We're gonna do an MCU themed challenge, and I'm gonna go into our little intro. So, Kyle, today I'm testing your knowledge of the Marvel Cinematic Universe with a challenge I call Avengers Assemble. You'll answer 25 questions spanning the entire MCU from Iron Man and the Avengers to Wakanda, the multiverse, and of course, our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Now the stakes. Get enough questions right and you'll become an Avenger. Get too many wrong and you may discover that Hydra has been recruiting you all along. But today there's something even bigger on the line. You and Martin share the highest Becky challenge score ever after both earning an incredible 24 out of 25 right in the Becky challenge. So far, no guest has ever achieved a perfect score. Will you become the first guest in Hanging with Becky history to score a perfect 25 out of 25 and earn the title of the one above all? Avengers Assemble. Ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, let's do the questions here. All right. There's 25 questions. I believe there's 5 rounds, and there's 5 questions in each round. Okay, so this one is called... one second. This one is called Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Okay. Question 1. I feel like this is a hard one. I'm going right into the hard.
I'm so nervous.
Okay. What is the name of the high school Peter Parker attends?
Oh.
I know. I just realized this is pretty hard. Going right into it.
It's tough because usually it's Midtown High, but he goes to the Science Academy. But I don't know is it Midtown?
You got
Science
it. You got it.
Okay.
It's Midtown School of Science and Technology. You don't need to say it in the exact order.
Yeah.
You said Midtown and then you said Science, so you got it right. I was like, oh no, right out of the gate, I'm gonna mess him up.
And I told you, I'm really like I was thinking about the MCU. I'm so bad with the names in this universe, so I'm so curious because they're not all like the comic book, you know. So it's like they're kind of their own versions of it, which is great. I might be butchering some of this today, so I'm not holding out for 25 out of 20.
It's so funny. Just so you know, so Kyle did a superhero quiz that was DC and Marvel, but we wanted to do a specific MCU for him for this. Okay, so number 2, which Avenger recruits Spider-Man during Captain America: Civil War?
That would be Tony Stark, Iron Man.
Exactly. I love how you said Tony Stark and Iron Man, and I have them both on here. Great. All right. Question 3. Oh my gosh, my computer is like being weird. All right, here. What is Captain America's real name?
Steve Rogers.
Yeah. All right. Number 4. This is a hard one too. Which Infinity Stone is hidden inside the Tesseract?
Oh, it's the Soul Stone. Wait, hold on. Gotta remember. It's the blue one. No, it's the Soul Stone, right? That's why Hugo Weaving is.
I have Space Stone. Stone? Is that not right?
It should be I thought it was the Soul Stone.
You know what? You might be right. I might have just written it wrong.
Let me make sure.
Yeah, you look it up. Yeah. Like on the spot, we're gonna research Becky's question to see if I got it right.
No, you're
Okay.
right. It's the space zone.
What's
Uh,
the blue? What's the one that you're thinking?
no, I'm so the Soul Stone's the one on Volmir that Thanos he has to sacrifice Gamora, and then Hawkeye sacrifices Black Widow for. And for some reason, I thought that was the one Hugo Weaving's character, the Red Skull, is going after in First Avenger. But that is the Tesseract, but it's the Space Zone, not the Soul
Okay.
Stone. So,
All right.
incorrect.
That's incorrect. One wrong. What is Thor's hammer called?
Mjolnir.
Yeah. All right. You got 4 out of 5 in that round. Round 2 is across the MCU. All right. Who directed the first 2 Guardians of the Galaxy films?
James Gunn.
Yeah. All right. Number 7. What is the name of Tony Stark's AI before Friday?
Jarvis.
I love how quickly you are with these quiet answers. Okay, number 8. Which Wakanda metal is used to make Captain America's shield?
Vibranium.
So awesome. All right. Number 9. Who is Peter Parker's best friend?
Ned Leeds.
Yeah. All right. Number 10, last question in this round. Finish the quote. I am.
Oh, that could be 2. That's tough. Could be the obvious I am Iron Man or I am inevitable.
It's Iron Man. That's what I have. But I love how you have 2 answers. All right. Perfect score in across the MCU. Round 3, Infinity Saga. Number 11. All right. Which MCU movie introduced Black Panther?
Civil War.
Correct. All right. Number 12. This is a hard one too, I think. What song opens Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, hey. I can't remember the name. I know
Yes,
the song.
that's the song. What's the matter? Keep singing. You can get it.
Something you're loving. I can't. I'm not gonna get it.
That's okay. You hummed it. You got it right. It's Come and Get Your Love.
Come and get your love. Come and get your love.
That's pretty cool that you hummed it, so you get credit for that. All right, number 13. Which MCU movie became the first superhero film nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture?
MCU?
Yeah, now I'm like, did I get this? Did I mess up this question?
There's no way an MCU movie got nominated.
I think
was it Logan?
No, I think it's the special one.
Oh, if it's special effects, it should be like Infinity War.
I think it was a special category. One second. Let me just double check. I like how on the spot being like, wait, I messed up. Hold on. Oh yeah, I have it. Yeah, it says it. I did get it right. It is it's Black Panther.
It got nominated for Best Picture?
It got
Angela Bassett got nominated.
Yeah, 7 nominations. Oh, yeah. So first, I have Best Picture here. Is that not right? It says it. You look it up. Now I'm like, maybe I'm wrong. No, I have it here. Yeah. Okay, blocked out.
Okay. I guess so. I don't remember that.
I feel like, and I was like, wait, yeah.
I remember Angela Bassett, and I remember that being a huge deal. But that was Black Panther 2. That wasn't even Black Panther 1. So
yeah. Oh my God, you made me doubt myself, and I just like.
Sorry, I just don't remember that.
No, because I have messed up before. All right, number 14. No, 14. Who says we have a Hulk? I probably didn't say it right. Well, we have a Hulk.
Avengers 1. That's Avengers 1. It's Tony.
Mm-hmm. Tony Stark.
With Loki, and then he comes and beats the crap out of him. It's awesome.
All right, last question in this round. I think this is hard. Maybe you won't.
Okay.
What species is Loki?
Asgardian.
I
Is
have
he not?
I have I have frost giant. Is it the same thing?
Is he? Oh, I maybe. I just thought he would be what Thor is. Is he not his?
Well,
Are
now
they?
I'm like, I like how I'm like questioning myself. I should like double check these questions. When Adam's quiz, I double check them a million times to make sure because I have it.
I guess he is technically. I just don't remember that from
They
the
said he was
comics.
raised as an Asgardian, but he was born to frost giant parents.
That could be in Thor: The Dark World, and I haven't seen that in almost 15 years.
That's the best one. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. All right. All right. Okay. So wait, that one. So you got 3 out of 5 in that round. All right.
Yep. Yep.
Secret. Okay. So the round 4 is Secret Wars.
Okay.
Okay. It's number 16. In the post-credit scene of the Avengers, what food are the Avengers eating together?
Shawarma. That's where I learned what shawarma was.
I think that's how I learned what shawarma was too.
I feel
And it's
like
good.
Most of the general public did, and it is fantastic.
It's amazing. Oh, now I'm like, should I get shawarma for lunch? All right, number 17. Has an Infinity Stone ever been permanently destroyed in the MCU?
Well, it's tough because like depends on where you're at in the timeline and if they come back. But I mean, the end of Endgame is no, they're placing all the stones back, and Steve Rogers is placing all the stones back into their original place so they can keep existence the way it is, but still alter Thanos in that story. So I'm gonna say yes, but no.
Okay, I have yes, Thanos destroys all 6 Infinity Stones.
Yeah, well, at the end of at the end
Yeah.
of Infinity War, yes, because that when we find Thanos at the beginning of Endgame, he has the gauntlet with no stones, so they can't reverse anything. But in totality, they are still existing right now.
So
And
they're
they
not
were in a
permanently.
drawer. Yeah, they're actually in a drawer in the TVA. And
Okay,
think
well,
the Loki drawer.
I'll
Technically
give you,
right now.
I'll give you that one. Yeah. All right. Which actor plays Mysterio?
Jake Gyllenhaal. We were talking about the man.
Yeah. All right, number 19. Which Marvel character played by John Berthal appears in Spider-Man Brand New Day?
The Punisher. Do you know who? Sorry to go back a sec, but do
Yeah.
you remember who originally was going to be Mysterio? Way back.
No, I don't remember. I mean, I should
Spider-Man
because I
4
worked on that one.
Spider-Man 4 was going to have Mysterio as the first villain, and it was going to be Bruce Campbell finally getting his shine as
Oh.
a Spider-Man villain. And I think he would have been perfect as Mysterio. He would have been a lot of fun.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that. All right. Number 20. Who finally says Avengers Assemble in the MCU?
That would be Cap and Endgame.
Yes. All right. You got a perfect score on Endgame. All right. Final round. Wait. What is...
Secret War. We're going into the Endgame, I would assume, on the last round.
Yeah. I don't know why. That's weird. I have a 2 different. I think this one's called Multiverse.
Okay.
Okay. 21. What is Goose actually revealed to be in Captain Marvel?
Sorry, what? Who is it? Goose?
What is Goose actually revealed to be in Captain Marvel?
Is that the cat? No,
I think
who's
so,
Goose?
but the
It's Sam Jackson, right? Nick Fury? Isn't that the whole thing? Maybe I don't remember Captain Marvel like that. I feel like I've only seen it once, and I did not enjoy it.
well, it was this thing is disguised as a tabby cat. What the answer is?
Oh, so I do remember the cat being something. What was it?
You didn't think I'd give you a Captain Marvel question, huh?
I didn't think you remember it existed. No, no, I don't know why I keep thinking like Sam Jackson was the cat in disguise or something, but that
All
wasn't
right.
it.
It's a Flurkin.
Oh, yeah. Because she's been flying around and all that. In space. Yeah. That
Okay.
happened.
Question 22. Which MCU movie does not have a traditional post-credit scene?
It's Endgame, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they just do the like everyone signed their names on the titles and that was the end of it.
Did you see the post-credit scene in Brand New Day?
Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, what is that? It was not
It
good.
stunk. That's what it was.
It was.
My thing is, it's the battle world, and like one of the other Peters is fighting Secret War already, or it
Yeah.
has to be something to Doomsday, or it's nothing, and they just are gonna figure it out when they.
Is
figure
it
it
like
out.
that they're in space because they're trying to find the tracker?
So my thing is like if Secret War's happening at that time, and again, that's my issue is like we don't know where this Peter Tom Holland takes place in any of this going on now. So
Yeah.
it's like we're just guessing. And my thing is like, is there another Spider-Man involved with the bigger story happening, coming up? So like, is it Toby or Andrew Garfield? And is that what we're seeing them fighting? Doom in a different universe, or if it's the Secret War, the Battle World. I think there could be multiple things happening there. But again, I was so disappointed by that.
Yeah, it was a
And
bummer.
and I thought it was just cheap. Like it just felt like a cheap post credit. And if you're gonna do anything, connect it to Doomsday. Don't just. We know there's other Spider-Man at this point. We
Yeah.
don't need that hinted at.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. You have 3 questions left.
Cool.
Question 23. What alias does Peter Parker use while traveling through Europe in Spider-Man Far From Home?
He is the Spider Monkey. Are we talking about his? Oh,
No,
when he
one of
meets
those words
the,
is right. I'm looking for.
Oh no, Night Monkey. That's what
Yes.
it is. Yeah, Night Monkey.
What were you gonna say? You.
No, I
thought it
forgot
was-
for some reason. No, I thought when he meets it's like the European woman, and then the guy walks in on him. He used a different name there too for some reason, but I think it is Night Monkey that they use. So it
Yeah.
is Night Monkey.
All right. 2 more questions. Which MCU hero famously says "on your left"?
Well, oh, so that's a reference, and it's said twice. But
Oh,
yeah, so in Winter Soldier, I believe it's Cap saying it to Falcon as he's running by him by the Washington Monument, and then in Endgame, it's Falcon saying to Cap to let him know that we got your back. So
it's Falcon.
either
I
way.
have Falcon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam
Yeah,
Wilson
Endgame.
Falcon.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, last one. Ready?
Let's do it.
This is a fun one.
do it.
I can do this one. Okay. Number 25. Name the 3 actors who unite as Spider-Man in Spider-Man No Way Home.
You got Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and the GOAT, Tobey Maguire.
Yeah. All right. So you got 4 out of 5 on that one. So let me just calculate 1 second. So it's 3. 1 second. Is it just 3? Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 4 wrong. So you got 21 right.
I'll still take that.
That's great. That's great. Yeah.
I'll still
Okay.
take
So let's do the rankings. Okay. 1 second. We find them. All right. So 12 or fewer correct is Hydra Recruit. 13 to 15 correct is Shield Agent. 16 to 18 correct is Friendly Neighborhood Hero. 19 to 21 correct is Avenger. 22 to 23 correct is Sorcerer Supreme. And 24 is, oh my God, I have so many for this one. Living Tribunal, which ties the all-time Becky Challenge record, which you hold. And 25 is the one above all. So you got Avenger, congratulations. That's a great one.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it
Yeah. You
for
were one
sure.
away from getting a Sorcerer Supreme, but I feel like you're more of an Avenger. So,
Yeah, I'll take that anyways. Yeah, I like it. You need a.
yeah.
I think I made the joke the last time about you needed Flash or a Green Lantern. You need a Black Widow or a Hawkeye, so I don't mind being in there.
Nice. Yes. All right. Great. Well, all right. Well, I guess I just want to thank everybody for uh, listening to the Spider-Man Brand New Day. I wanted to love this movie. I was hoping I did. And I've never really been disappointed by a Spider-Man movie, to be honest. But this one was very special, I think. Like I said, it's possible that it may overtake my favorite Spider-Man film at some point. But right now, it's too close that it's my second favorite. I love it. I think you should definitely go check it out. And Kyle definitely ranked them as well earlier. But thanks for listening to Hanging with Becky. If you want to find us on social media, we're Hanging with Becky on Blue Sky and Instagram, Hanging with Becky on Twitter and Letterbox. And then you can also email us at hangingwithbecky@gmail.com. And also, I don't have the question right now, so I think I'm going to do it next week. But I will be doing a trivia question next week to win 2 tickets if you're in LA to the Catch a Thief show at the Academy Museum because I have a
Ooh.
conflict and I have 2 tickets to that. So listen to the next episode, which will be on Avatar: The Last Airbender. The Paul Redder is doing he's mentioned in the Toy Story episode and in one other one. He's part of our canon here. He will be coming on to celebrate Avatar: The Last Airbender, and we will giving him How I Met Your Mother trivia because he's a massive fan of that. So if you love that show, we're going to do that. That'll be next week. So look, we will do a trivia question at the end if you live in LA and you can win those tickets. I had to come up with what the trivia question is. But thanks for tuning in. And I just want to say go to the movies, especially see this movie. It's amazing on the big screen. And until next week.